Hey guys, what's up? Unrested back. This is my first day waking up at a normal time. Recovered from the jet lag of being in Japan for 2 months. It's easy to adjust sometimes if you go to another country for 2 weeks and come back to your own country. Maybe take you a couple days to adjust. But man, after 2 months of sleeping on a 13-hour different schedule and then adjusting back, it was really hard to stay up past like 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon and not wake up at 12 a.m. in the middle of the night for the last 3 to 4 days. Hence, I've been kind of radio silent on all social media. I'm glad you're sticking around here though and ready for our video today. I'm trying to stick to my schedule no matter what. I haven't missed a weekend in, gosh, the past year. So let's stick to that, okay? Let's talk about the differences between living a fruitful and healthy lifestyle in Japan and America. My last two videos, one was corporate failures in Japan, and the other one was Gaijin who moved to Japan and kind of failed in business. So I want to go on a more of a positive spin for this one, and maybe talk about some of the negatives that America is doing, where they're not quite living as healthy of a lifestyle as Japan. We harp on Japan sometimes for working too late hours. In the past, we used to harp on them for things like smoking. When I first moved there in 2007, smoking was huge. Guys, you could get a pack of cigarettes for $2. That's how much a pack of like full pack of cigarettes costs. And I'd watch Japanese people buy them in those big like 24 packs. I don't know how many come in a case. I've never smoked. I've never been into smoking. And Japanese people used to smoke like chimneys, and that's pretty much disappeared from Japan. So Japan has really corrected a big part of their lifestyle when it comes to smoking. A couple reasons for that. They raised the prices quite a bit. I think they've doubled and tripled over the last 15 years. Taxes have gone a lot higher on cigarettes, and the best thing, probably the most amazing thing, is cigarettes have actually been banned from bars and restaurants. You have to smoke outside now. I gotta say that was one of the most annoying things, one of probably the most unhealthy things about living in Japan before, was you were allowed to smoke anywhere. There wasn't even like smoking sections most times in restaurants. So I'd go down to my favorite restaurant downstairs, which is like this nice little Okinawa slash Chinese based food restaurant, and it was the most wonderful food you'll ever eat. And I sometimes could not enjoy it because the ochan next to me would pull out a big old pack and start smoking it at the table next to me. So it's really nice that they've kind of canceled that out, and I think that's really helped. I've seen a lot of Japanese looking way healthier, coughing way less, walking a much brisker pace, and just in general, you're not seeing cigarette butts all over the street. You're not smelling smoke everywhere you go. There's still a lot of like ochans, jijis, babas, the old men and women of Japan still smoking down those ciggies, but for the most part, Japan's really kind of, I guess, caught up to America. Now, I guess Europe, guys, what's going on over there? I've been to Spain and I've been to Italy and I've been to France. You guys still smoke like chimneys sometimes. You guys need to get it under control. What's going on over there in those countries? No, it's fine, whatever. It's not a huge thing. At least you guys don't smoke inside of restaurants. That's nice. The other things, Japan really does is they eat a lot less greasy food than America. One thing I'd really say I missed when I came back to America after not living here for 15 years was a lot of my greasy food that America serves. And my first year back here, I indulged, man. I was eating burgers. I was eating pizzas. I was eating macaroni and cheese. I was eating fried chicken. Everything I could get my hands on that was very difficult to get a good version of in Japan. Yes, you can get those things in Japan. You can get your fried chicken. You can get your hamburger. You can get your pizza. But you're not getting high quality stuff. It's like buying sushi in America. Sushi in America is a joke. I'm sure you understand there's no such thing as a Philadelphia roll in Japan. And people who keep trying to tell me that, shut up. There's no cream cheese in sushi. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Just like in Japan, they put corn on pizza. There's no corn on pizza in America, okay? There's no eggplants on my pizza in America. There's no sweet potatoes on my pizza in America. So I really enjoyed those. I really indulged in those when I came back. And then I went back to Japan for this whole summer. I was there for the last 2 months. And I was back on my diet of eating, super fresh, non-oily, right off the market fish, tons of fresh fruit. Guys, the fruit in Japan is 100 times better than the fruit in America. It cannot compare. The time, the growing, the tradition, the culturing of the gardens that they use, the farms, everything, they just spend more time making it fresher and sweeter. Same with their fish, same with their, poultry, everything. They just spend more time, free range chickens, fresh fish that's like literally right off the warehouse floor. The ships bring it in, the chefs pick it out that day and they serve it that same day. It doesn't sit around in a freezer and then it's finally served next Tuesday. They get it out there, and if it's not used, and they use it for something else where it doesn't need to be a part of the fresh aspect of the dish. And when I've come back to America here in this last week, I've had to indulge in only fresh food. I can't really get back into that super oily stuff, and I feel like that makes a huge difference in your life. Like you feel a lot lighter, like you can get up and move after a bit of a nap, or the next day you're not weighed down by what's in your stomach. And I feel like Japan does a really good job of staying away from that super greasy stuff. And even for things like desserts, they don't indulge in a lot of like processed food, a lot of baked goods, a lot of deep fried goods, you know, cardboard packages full of cookies and stuff like that. That's not something you see for dessert. It's a lot of fruit. We eat fruit for dessert all the time in Japan. And even if you buy something like a cake, half the cake would be like a solid, 2 to 3 inches of piled fruit on top with a little bit of actual cake on the bottom. They kind of got that fruit to congeal a little bit with some kind of jelly or some kind of like syrup, but for the most part, it's more fruit based than it is cake and processed food based. So that's another thing I feel like Japan does a lot better. No soda or sweet drinks. Japan has a name for soda, and I'm not talking about 0 calorie soda or diet soda or anything. If you drink like a for real soda, like, full sugar and everything, they call it debu juice. Debu juice means like obesity juice, okay? They are not a big fan of that. It's weird when Japan has summer come around, there's one sugary drink they come out with. They release Sprite back into Japan because I think they feel like that's a super refreshing drink for summer. But otherwise, you don't see sugary drinks for the rest of the year. And they're not big fans of soda. For the most part, if you ask a Japanese person if they want a soda, they would prefer tansansui, seltzer water, club soda. All right, 0 calorie. It's just bubbly carbonated water, and that's mostly what they drink over sodas. For the most part, though, they're big on their tea, 0 calorie tea. I'm not talking about Arizona sweet tea. That's one thing that always blows my mind when people ask, they're like, oh, like Arizona sweet tea? You mean the Japanese people always drink stuff like that? No. If you drink for real tea is literally just like leaves and water. Okay, there's no calories in there. Okay, there's a little bit of flavoring, of course. You're gonna taste like a really earthy. I would say the first time I ever tasted it, I felt like it tasted like the way grass smells or the way like dirt smells, like fresh, wet dirt. You do get used to the taste, though. I'll be honest, you get used to the taste. Now, oolong chow, like green tea and stuff, has a very, very different taste. That has more of a, I would say, that grassy sort of herbal taste. But mugi cha, like God, that really has like a dirt type of taste. I don't know why. It's barley pretty much, like it's barley and water. But it's way more healthy for you than drinking a soda, and Japan sticks to that. There are bottles at school that they bring to school. You either have water or you have tea inside. Kids are not allowed to drink any soft drinks at school. I'm starting to notice that more though with American schools. I know the school I work at, kids aren't allowed to be like carrying around sodas and juices and stuff like that. So, good job for my school actually like sticking to that. That's a really good policy. They're also big about you're not like bringing snacks to class and stuff like that. And that's another thing in Japan. There's no snacking, okay? People eat their 3 square meals a day. And you never see people snacking. There's no snacking at the office. There's no snacking at work. No one can have an open bag of anything at any job. That would be considered extremely impolite. And the reason it's considered really impolite is because you just don't eat something you're not going to share with others. Especially like if you were working like a job as a teacher or a job in retail or something like that, you could not be having an open package of anything next to you and, just grabbing one or two little bites. Big deal. Who cares? I'm just munching a little bit here or there to keep my energy up, right? No, that's considered ultra rude. If you're going to bring something to eat, you need to bring enough to share with everybody. And if you're not going to do that, then it's not a meal that you're preparing for everybody. So don't do it. It's rude. A very Japanese thing, but I think also that keeps them very, very healthy. Not snacking in between meals makes a big difference. Um, Balance your free time. I always talk about there's not a lot of balance for Japanese people as far as like what they do with work. Work takes up way too much of their time, and I still think that's a huge issue in Japan. I think the American work-life balance is way better. I think that's one thing America's done way better is 8 hours for the most part at work. And let me tell you, I'm a teacher. I work some shifts that go way beyond 8 hours. I've got my 15 and a half hour to 16-hour shifts that I've worked before. So, I'm not trying to put Japan in its place by telling them how perfect my work schedule is, but we do have a work-life balance. And I think one thing that we don't have a balance with is what we do with that free time after work. If I asked the average American what they spend their free time doing, and this includes me, I'm guilty of this too, video games, movies, watching TV when I'm off, okay? Sitting down there, maybe grabbing a bag of chips and sitting down to watch a movie. Netflix and chill, you guys know how it is. In Japan, a lot of their free time is taken up by activities that continue to work their brain and their body. I got friends out there, they're doing carpentry when they're not at work. I got friends out there that are putting together model cars for like these tiny little racetracks. They're super cool. I got friends out there who are having a whole entire workshop in their house set up for Playmo Gundam. That's plastic molding Gundam, resin figures pretty much, putting them together, airbrushing them, stuff like that. Deep hobbies where like their mind, their hand and eye skills, their articulation of what they need to think and do with their brain and their body is continually being activated when they get home. They are not big fans of just sitting around to watch TV. And honestly, to be frank with you, Japanese TV sucks for the most part. If you ask the average Japanese person, I think they would agree with me that most Japanese TV sucks. It's mostly made for old people at this point. And when I say old, I don't mean like 60s and 50s. I mean like really up there in ages, like 80, 90. Okay, those are the people watching Japanese TV still. Some streaming services are slowly starting to trickle into Japan. They've got their Netflix, they've got their Hulu. I don't think HBO Max is big out there yet. They've got another service called Wow Wow. And there's probably a couple other ones I'm not even thinking of off the top of my head. But those are like watch a 2 hour movie and then you're done. Don't spend the rest of your weekend watching an entire binge session on one of these streaming services. Japan is not big on that. They're big on filling their free time with continuously active activities that actually keep them active. Did I say the word active enough? And I think that's a really good, healthy thing to do. I know one thing I kind of put on myself is that before I would sit down to play a game or watch a movie, I will open up my sketch pad and make sure I draw minimum 15 to 30 minutes before I get into any kind of like mind-numbing hobby over the weekend so that I can at least keep up my skill in art. Hence you see so many sketches around this room and paintings and stuff like that. I try to get like at least one decent size artwork done every weekend to keep my skill going. What else do we got here? Oh my God, this is the best one. I can't leave this out of here. Well, actually, there's two on here. These are like the most important. Okay, they don't let their kids waste their time watching TikTok and YouTube Shorts. I used to kind of complain sometimes that I'd see Japanese people let their kids carry around Switches, Nintendo Switch, and like playing it on like just while they're walking around staring at the screen. But you can only do so much on a Switch. Like when your parents are grocery shopping, you eventually have to put it down so that you're not like walking into the cart or an aisle of cans and knocking them over. So kids would actually have to put those down for that. Whereas in America, I do see a lot of kids vegged out and bugged out on these YouTube shorts and TikTok videos for like hours on end. I've even had to stop my own son from doing stuff like that. And in Japan, there's a big swearing off of that. We do not let our kids do that. Almost every day my son was there, he grabbed his bicycle and he went down to the park and he played with his friends in the park. And I can't tell you what a peace of mind that gives me as far as knowing he's out there being active, having social interactions with his friends, being verbal, being communicative, learning body language, learning human interaction, and not just stuck out vegging in his room off of hours of mindless drivel being drip fed to him, that one little iota of serotonin being dripped into his brain bit by bit of a funny video that makes you laugh or clap like a seal every 5 minutes. Okay, like I like seeing my kid go out there and be active, run around, play with other kids, talk to other kids, and that's still something that's a big part of growing up in Japan. I do complain sometimes that the schoolwork sessions become insane as kids get older. Luckily my kid's not that age yet. My older one, not so much free time for him. He's studying around the clock, but my youngest still got that free time to go out there, ride his bike with friends. It's safe. It's clean. There's no one you need to worry about. He can go to the park with his friends. There's other parents there that'll look out for him. Japanese people always looking out for each other's kids. And that's just like such a beautiful thing. It sounds so small just to let your kids be able to play at a park and be safe. That's not something I could let my kid do here. I have a park in my own neighborhood, and I would not let him go there by himself and play alone with friends. I can't imagine doing that here in America. That's like such a beautiful thing about Japan. I can just let my kid go run out there and be a wild, natural, normal, social child out in the wild. And that's damn. I wish America had that, dude. Last but not least, the most important thing. This is the lesson that all Americans could absolutely benefit the entire country, no matter who you are, what your beliefs are, what your background is. Japanese people don't waste time arguing about politics. They're not there fighting, arguing, hating, talking trash, trying to tear down other people, trying to rip up other people's opinions over politics. Politics never becomes a conversation. And even if it does, someone will listen for a second and be like, okay, that's what you think? All right, cool. And that's it. They move on. They don't try to convince the other person that, like, no, listen, you're not part of this diet. And when I say diet, I don't mean like actually like food consumption. The political system in Japan is called the diet, okay? And there's parties within the diet. It's very complicated. This is not the video to try and explain to you Japanese politics, but they're not sitting there being like, oh, that party in the diet that you like sucks, and let me tell you why they suck and why you should join my party. This is why mine's going to be victorious when elections come up. I'm going to have the right prime minister, the only one who's going to be able to run this country. um, you know for them, they do like to watch our American politics, but they watch it in the same way that you would watch a soap opera. For them, they cannot believe what a dramatic aspect of our country politics have become. To them, it is an amazing form of entertainment for them. And that's what we've become with our politics. We've become a form of entertainment for the rest of the world. And it's silly. It's sad and it's silly. And look, like, I'm not promoting any kind of the violence that's happened over this last couple weeks, with the Republicans, with the bumbling mess that is the Democrats with Biden giving his speech. I'm not out there to mock either side of them. Okay, I think it's both parties are silly. I'm not a fan of either, and I think it's ridiculous when I watch people talk about these parties like they're playing for a team. In America, I see Americans talk about political parties the same way I see the British talk about soccer teams they like. And you know what? For them, it's okay. For the UK, they can talk about soccer teams like that because soccer teams don't decide the future of their country. So it's fine to me when I hear them get so passionate and argue with each other about that. But with us, we're all talking about each other's futures when we argue these things. And that's the sad, sad part, is that neither side will ever work out if we continue to hate each other for these things. And no matter who you believe, trust, are going to vote for in the future, I just feel like the whole thing's a uni party. And I think like in Japan too, it's corrupt and garbage politics too, and it feels like a uni party there too as far as politics are concerned. But the Japanese are in touch with that. They know that. Could they do more to change it? Yeah, of course we all could in every country. We could stand up and, take a stand against both parties controlling everything that we do in our life, raising our taxes, inflating everything, making housing an unacceptable level, rent an unacceptable level, food inflating beyond the cost of people being able to buy a normal bunch of groceries for the week. Yeah, we could all stand up and do something about that. Will we ever? I don't know. Will the Japanese ever? Probably not. But at least they're not letting themselves tear each other down over political beliefs. And that's one thing, God, I wish America could do. I wish they could just leave the politics on the side and love each other like their fellow American again. That's how it felt like in the 90s. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old timer looking back at the 90s and being like, those are the good old days. That was the golden age. Everybody does that, right? They always talk about the good old days. But I just felt like in the 90s, people got along better. People accepted each other's political beliefs. It wasn't like a team you were playing for. My mom was a Republican. I mean, my dad was a Republican. My mom was a Democrat during that time. And they never had a single argument. They were very happy with each other's choices. Now they're both Democrats, if you wanted to know. And I'm not a fan of being Democrat either. I'm not registered as a Democrat. I'm a non-party registered voter. So, what a mess, right? Let me hear what you guys have as far as feedback as what I'm telling you about Japan, how things are operating, things that I saw go really well, some advice I feel like could work for America, and some things that are doing really well in Japan but are kind of failures in America. Let me hear your feedback on this. You guys sometimes have some incredible insight, especially on my last video. God, the stories I heard about people who had worked with Japanese companies, like trying to transfer things back and forth between the States and Japan, or work with contractors from Japan and stuff, and some of like the struggles and stuff. They're really interesting stories, incredible stories, guys. I love your comments. I read every single one. Usually I respond and I heart every single one. The whole time I was in Japan, I was unable to do that. My time was tied up. I couldn't be sitting there clicking on comments while I only have 2 months with my family. Of course, my attention is with them. But we're going to get back into that now. I still got another free week before school starts back up again, so I'm going to catch up with videos right after this with my members. If you want to be a member, guess what? If you join right now, you're about to get 3 extra videos today. I'm about to record 3 extra videos just for my members, because that's what $1.90 a month gets them. So if you want to join up, join up. I'm going to shout out all the members again starting in the next video. But for now, I just want to end it here and get into recording those videos for my members. You guys make it happen. You keep this channel alive, and hopefully this is the year that we get Osoroshi Saturday back on YouTube and start that channel up. We'll see how it goes. Tune in for our members video about Osoroshi coming up next, and I'll talk to you guys next week, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say on this video. I hope you have a great rest of the day.